Commander Alex Reeves stood before the Galactic Council, his weathered face calm as the huge meeting hall fell silent. The room was filled with aliens from all over the galaxy. Some had scales, others had tentacles. Some were tall, others tiny. But all 27 council members now looked at the humans with cold eyes. Alex felt the weight of all humanity on his shoulders. Next to him, Ambassador Nicole Grant stood straight and proud in her blue diplomatic uniform. Behind them, 5 other human representatives waited quietly, their faces showing no fear. The Selnar representative, a tall being with gray skin and 6 blinking eyes, stepped forward. His voice echoed in the Great Hall. "The Council has reached its decision," he said. "Humanity has broken galactic law. You have developed technologies beyond what is permitted under Council Directive 359. Your ships move faster than allowed. Your computers think in ways that threaten the balance of power." Alex watched the alien faces in the room. Many seemed pleased, some looked worried. A few even seemed sad, but none spoke up to defend humanity. "The evidence has been reviewed," continued the Selnar. "The ruling is final." Nicole shifted slightly beside Alex. She had worked for 20 years trying to build friendships with these aliens. Now her work was ending in failure. The evidence against humanity was weak, and everyone knew it. Some of it was even fake. But the Council had made up its mind long ago. High Counselor Zev Toril rose from his floating chair. All 6 of his eyes blinked one after another as he spoke the formal words. "Humanity has 2 choices," he said. "Submit or leave. If you submit, all advanced human technology must be destroyed. Council observers will live on all human worlds to ensure compliance. Human research will be limited and monitored for the next 500 years. A small smile formed on Alex's lips. The Council still didn't understand humans at all. "Your second choice is exile," Zev Toril continued. "All humans must leave Council space forever. You have 30 standard cycles, about 45 Earth days, to remove your people from all 17 human colony worlds. Any humans remaining after this time will be forcibly removed." The Council chamber erupted in voices. Some members argued the punishment was too harsh. Others said it wasn't harsh enough. A reptilian council member named Drax hissed loudly, "We should simply destroy their ships now and be done with it." The High Counselor raised his hand for silence. "The decision is made. What say you, humans? Will you submit to oversight, or will you leave Citadel space forever?" Alex looked at Nicole. They had known this was coming. For 10 years, human intelligence had reported the growing fear among alien species. Humanity was advancing too quickly, learning too much, building too fast. The older species were scared. "The human government has prepared for this possibility," Alex said, his deep voice carrying across the chamber. "We do not recognize the legitimacy of these charges, but we will respect the Council's authority in Council space." He took a deep breath before continuing. "Humanity chooses exile." Whispers ran through the room. Many of the aliens had expected humans to beg, to negotiate, to submit. They hadn't expected such quick acceptance. The High Counselor looked surprised but quickly recovered. "Very well. 30 standard cycles, not 1 day more." As the human delegation walked out of the towering council chambers, Nicole moved close to Alex. Her voice was quiet but filled with something like hope. "Did you see their faces?" she whispered. "They think they're punishing us. They don't realize they're setting us free." Alex nodded. "Project Exodus is ready. The ships are built. The course is set. Where we're going," Nicole said with a small smile, "we won't need their permission to grow." Outside the council building, the artificial sun of the Citadel space station shone down on them. Alex looked up at the fake sky and thought about real suns, new worlds, and open space where no council rules would hold humanity back. "It's the end of one chapter," he said, "but not the end of our story." The biggest move in human history had begun. All across 17 star systems, nearly 30 billion people packed their lives into boxes and bags. Families said goodbye to homes they would never see again. Children picked one toy to take, leaving the rest behind. Farmers harvested final crops from soil their families had worked for generations. Admiral Samantha Wright stood on the bridge of her massive ship, the UNDF Determination. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was perfectly pressed despite her not sleeping for 3 days straight. "Show me the evacuation numbers," she ordered. A young officer tapped a screen, and a big map filled the air in front of them. Thousands of little dots moved across the map. Each dot was a ship full of people, heading to meeting points in space. "It's amazing," said Lieutenant Daniel Rodriguez, looking up at the map. "No one thought we could do it this fast." Samantha nodded. In just 25 days, they had already moved most of humanity. Council aliens had given them 45 days, thinking it was impossible. They wanted to see humans beg for more time. "How many people are loaded onto ships?" she asked. 87%, Admiral Daniel answered. "We're ahead of schedule. The mining operations have collected 93% of the resources we targeted." A message flashed on a nearby screen. Daniel frowned as he read it. "Council observers are demanding access to our colonies on New Washington and Europa Prime," he said. "They say they have the right to inspect what we're leaving behind." Samantha's face hardened. "Denied. Tell them they can look all they want after we're gone." The truth was, humans weren't leaving much behind. Secret orders had gone out months before the Council's decision. Take everything useful. Leave nothing valuable. What looked like normal homes and cities from the outside were now empty shells. On the other side of the fleet, a smaller ship named Curiosity floated in space. Inside his laboratory, Dr. Alan Peterson worked with glowing 3D maps of stars. Alan was older than most of the other scientists, with kind eyes and hands that moved quickly over the controls. He had spent his life studying the stars, and now he was plotting humanity's escape among them. "Computer, confirm final destination coordinates," he said. The computer's pleasant voice answered. "Coordinates confirmed. Location is beyond the galactic rim. No known Council presence in target region." Alan smiled as he sent the final navigation plan to all the fleet captains. The journey would be long, but the special engines that had made the Council so angry would now take humans where no one could follow them. "They're so afraid of what we might become," he said to himself. "They don't understand that humans grow stronger under pressure." He looked at another screen showing secret data. It was information about strange signals from beyond the galaxy edge. Signals the Council didn't know about. Signals that suggested humans wouldn't be alone out there. "We found something they never did," he whispered, "and we're just getting started." Back on the Determination, Admiral Wright watched as another 1,000 transport ships reported ready status. Military vessels flew protective patterns around the civilian ships. Some alien species were taking advantage of the confusion to attack human ships, hoping to steal technology before it disappeared forever. "Admiral," called out a communications officer, "we've got a problem on Colony 7. Pirates are targeting the evacuation ships." Samantha didn't hesitate. "Send the Montgomery battle group. Full response. I want those civilians protected." As she gave orders to protect her people, Samantha felt a strange mix of sadness and excitement. Humanity was leaving behind 300 years of history among the stars. But they were also heading toward something new, something the Council couldn't control. "We'll remember this day," she said quietly. "Not as the day we were driven out, but as the day we truly became free." 3 years had passed since the humans left. The galaxy seemed quieter somehow. Council enforcer Krall Voss guided his patrol ship through the empty streets of what was once a busy human city on Proxima Centauri II. His forelegs made soft clicking sounds as he walked across the landing pad. The settlement once held 2 million humans. Now it was completely empty. Krall Voss was tall, with a hard shell covering his body and 2 arms ending in claw-like hands. His face had large compound eyes and moving mouthparts that clicked when he spoke. He had never liked humans much, but walking through their abandoned city made him feel strange and uncomfortable. "See anything worth taking?" asked his partner Misa, a shorter alien with soft blue skin and 3 eyes in a triangle pattern. "Nothing," Kralvos said, his mandibles clicking in frustration. "Not a single thing of value, just like the last 12 human places we checked." He kicked at an empty container. "They took everything useful. Their machines, their special materials, even their art and music. Look at this." He pointed to an empty farm building. "They even took dirt samples from their growing places." Misa nodded. "The council is worried. The humans weren't supposed to be able to leave so quickly or so completely." All across former human space, council inspection teams were finding the same thing. The humans had been much smarter, much more advanced than anyone had realized. They had been hiding their true abilities for decades. In empty factories, council experts found large empty spaces where important machines had clearly been removed. The remaining computers had been wiped clean using methods that council tech experts couldn't understand. It was like the humans had been planning this long before they were told to leave. "My cousin works for the Science Council," Misa said quietly as they walked through an empty school building. "She says they found something really strange on Earth, the human home planet." "What's that?" asked Kralvos. "The humans cleaned everything perfectly before they left. They fixed up their old cities like museum displays. They left behind perfect examples of their history, but took all the real, important stuff with them. It's like they wanted to leave a giant museum, but nothing actually useful." Kralvos shook his head. Strange creatures. As the two enforcers finished their patrol, they received an urgent message. They needed to investigate a reported illegal sale of technology in the nearby space station. 3 hours later, they stood in a small room on the station, looking at a strange device on the table. It was clearly human-made. "Where did you get this?" Kralvos demanded of the nervous green-skinned merchant. I bought it from a trader," the merchant said. "He said it was human technology. It's supposed to clean water 10 times better than our best systems." "How much did you pay for it?" asked Misa. 50,000 credits, the merchant whispered. Kralvos was shocked. That was enough money to buy a small ship. "That's 5 times what a council water cleaner costs." The merchant nodded. "But this one works better. Everyone wants human tech now. The prices keep going up." This was the most troubling development since the humans left. All across the galaxy, human technology was showing up in black markets. The prices were extremely high, but people were paying. Someone was selling advanced human goods to the highest bidders. Later, back on their ship, Kralvos reviewed their report to the council. "Do you think there are still humans hiding in council space?" Misa asked. "Someone must be selling this technology." "I don't know," Kralvos replied. "But the council is getting nervous. These human devices showing up everywhere are causing problems. Some species are getting technology that others don't have. The balance of power is shifting." He looked out the view screen at the stars. The humans were kicked out to make things more stable, but it seems like things are becoming less stable now that they're gone. A message alert sounded. The council was calling all enforcers to an emergency meeting. Reports were coming in from all sectors. The Traxon and Volmerians, species that had always been enemies, were now fighting an open war. They were both using weapons that looked suspiciously like human designs. "The humans left," Misa said quietly, "but their shadow was growing larger, not smaller." Kralvos nodded. "I'm starting to think the council made a terrible mistake." 10 years had passed since the humans left. The galaxy was changing, and not for the better. In the Grand Council chamber, emergency alarms flashed red. Council members rushed to their seats, their faces showing fear and anger. On the huge screen at the front of the room, terrible images played. Cities were burning. Ships were exploding in space. Thousands of aliens were running for their lives. "This attack is unprovoked and brutal," shouted Councillor Telvin. a tall, slender alien with feathery skin. His people, the Ashari, were being attacked by their former allies, the Krell. The Krell are using weapons we've never seen before. The images on the screen showed Krell warships firing strange blue beams that cut through Ashari shields like they weren't even there. The beams reminded many council members of something they had seen before, in banned human weapon designs. High Counselor Zev Toril looked much older than he had when he banished the humans 10 years ago. His once bright eyes now looked tired. His skin hung loose on his frame. "We have confirmed the source of these weapons," he said, his voice heavy. "The Krell bought them from traders who got them from human agents." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Council species shouted at each other. Some blamed the humans. Others blamed the council for forcing the humans to leave. "Silence," called Zev Toril. "We must focus on stopping this conflict." But stopping the conflict wouldn't be easy. The Krell and Ashari had been allies for centuries, kept that way partly because of human diplomats who worked with both sides. Without the humans to help maintain peace, old hatreds had returned. In his private office after the meeting, Zev Toril met with his most trusted advisors. "The situation is worse than we're telling the public," said Joril, his chief security officer. "It's not just the Krell and Ashari. 4 other conflicts have broken out in former human territories." Zev Toril sighed deeply. "How did this happen?" "We removed the humans to make the galaxy more stable." "Humans were better diplomats than we realized," said Vareen, a data analyst with skin that changed colors with her mood. Right now, she was a worried purple. "They often acted as neutral third parties. They found creative solutions to problems. Without them, old enemies are fighting again. And it's not just war," added Joril. "Look at these economic reports." Vareen changed the screen to show charts and numbers. All the lines pointed down. "Trade is dropping in sectors where humans used to operate," she explained. "They created markets that other species came to depend on. They invented products no one else knows how to make. We didn't realize how much the galactic economy relied on human innovation." Zev Toril walked to the window, looking out at the massive Citadel station. "What about the human technology that keeps showing up? Who's selling it?" Joril looked uncomfortable. "We believe the humans left behind agents. They blend in with other species, selling advanced technology to the highest bidders. We've tried to catch them, but they're very careful." "So the humans are gone, but their influence remains," Zev Toril said. "And it's growing stronger, not weaker." Another advisor stepped forward. This one was from the Science Council. "There's another problem," she said. "We've been studying the direction the human fleet went when they left. They headed beyond the galactic rim, a region we always thought was empty." "And it's not empty?" asked Zev Toril. "We've detected unusual energy readings from that region, and strange signals that don't match any known pattern. We think the humans found something out there, or someone." The room fell silent. The idea that humans might have found allies beyond the galaxy was disturbing. "We made assumptions about humans," Vareen said quietly. "We thought they were just another young species who needed to be controlled. We were wrong. They were hiding their true abilities all along." "Why would they do that?" asked Joril. "Why pretend to be less advanced than they were?" Zev Toril turned from the window, his face sad. "Because they were studying us, learning our weaknesses, playing a longer game than we realized." Outside in the Citadel, ordinary citizens were beginning to feel the effects of a galaxy without humans. Prices for everyday goods were rising. Some products couldn't be found at all. Security patrols had increased as crime rates rose. The council had thought removing humans would solve problems. Instead, new problems appeared every day. And somewhere beyond the stars, humanity was building something new, something the council could only imagine and fear. 15 years after the humans left, something strange happened. On a quiet Tuesday morning, every major communications center in council space received the same message at the exact same time. The message bypassed all security systems, as if they didn't exist. It moved through firewalls like they were open doors. No one could stop it or trace where it came from. The message was simple, a set of star coordinates near the edge of Council space, and a date 7 days away. No threats, no demands, no explanation of who sent it. On the Council Citadel, security experts worked day and night, trying to figure out how the message had gotten through their best defenses. "It's impossible," said Chief Security Officer Druk, a short reptilian alien with scales that changed color when he was stressed. Right now, they were bright orange. "No one can hack all communication systems at once." "The humans could," said his assistant quietly. The council met in an emergency session. The debate was heated. "It must be a trap," shouted the Krell representative, his sharp teeth flashing. "We should send warships." "No, it could be a peace offering," argued another council member. "We should send diplomats." In the end, they decided to send a science vessel with representatives from 7 major council species. The ship would be armed but would approach peacefully. Its mission was to see what was at those coordinates and report back. Captain Laura Winters of the Council science vessel Enlightenment stood on the bridge as her ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the exact coordinates from the message. She was a Sindarin, a species known for their calm thinking. Her blue skin and 4 arms made her look different from humans, but her people thought in similar ways. "What do we see?" she asked her crew. "Just a single planet, Captain," replied her sensor officer. "Small, habitable, but no signs of large settlements. There's a small building on the surface near the equator. It appears to be a research station. Any ships in the area?" "No, Captain. We're alone here." Laura frowned. This wasn't what they expected. "Take us down. All weapons on standby, but not active. I don't want to appear threatening." As the ship landed near the small building, the council delegation prepared to disembark. They wore protective suits just in case. "I don't understand," said Exirlon, the Vexari scientist with tentacles where most species had arms. "There's nothing special about this planet. No valuable minerals, no strategic position. Why bring us here?" As they approached the building, a door slid open. Standing in the doorway was something that made several delegation members gasp. A human. It was an older woman with silver hair and bright eyes that seemed to see right through them. "Welcome," she said in a friendly voice. "I'm Ellen, former Undersecretary for Xeno Relations. Thank you for coming." Laura stepped forward. "We received your message. Why have you brought us here?" Ellen smiled. "To show you something you need to see." Inside the station, Helen activated a control panel. The lights dimmed, and suddenly the room was filled with floating images. The council members stared in amazement. The images showed enormous cities on strange planets under skies with different colored stars. They showed massive fleets of ships unlike anything in council records. Most shocking of all, they showed humans working alongside alien species the council had never seen before. "What is this?" Laura asked, her voice barely a whisper. "This is where we went," Ellen explained. "Beyond your borders, we found what you never did. Other civilizations, older and wiser than the council. Some had been avoiding council space for thousands of years." She gestured at an image of a city that seemed to float in the clouds. "We wanted you to see that we didn't just survive. We thrived." "Why show us this now?" asked Exirlon. "Because soon you'll need us," Ellen said simply. She walked to a small table and picked up a crystal data storage device. She handed it to Captain Winters. "This contains medical information that will help with the cascade fever spreading through council worlds. Consider it a gift from those you sent away." The delegation members looked at each other in surprise. Cascade fever had only appeared 2 years ago. It was killing thousands across council space. How did the humans know about it? "Your council believed they were containing a threat when they exiled humanity," Ellen said as the delegation prepared to leave. "Instead, they released us to become something greater. Remember that." As Captain Winters led her team back to their ship, she couldn't help feeling that the humans' words were both a promise and a warning. 25 years after the humans left, a nightmare became real. The first reports came from distant outposts near the edge of the galaxy. Communications suddenly stopped. When scout ships arrived to check, they found entire colonies empty. No bodies, no signs of fighting, just empty buildings and an eerie silence. Then came the distress calls, garbled messages about shadows that move wrong, and voices in our heads. The messages always ended the same way, with screams, then silence. The council called it the Void Incursion. Ancient legends spoke of beings that lived in the dark space between galaxies. Most species thought they were just stories to scare children. They were wrong. In the Grand Council chamber, fear had replaced the usual political games. Screens showed reports from across the galaxy. Entire planetary populations were falling into madness before the physical attacks even began. When the void beings finally appeared, conventional weapons proved useless. 3 more systems have gone dark, reported Defense Minister Gar, his voice shaking despite his military training. The protective line is failing. High Counselor Excel Nav, who had replaced Zev Toril 5 years earlier, looked at the desperate faces around him. Do we have any defense that works against these things? Nothing effective, Gar admitted. They operate outside normal physical laws. Our weapons pass through them. Our shields fail against their touch. A junior counselor spoke up, her voice quiet but clear. There is one option we haven't tried. Everyone knew what she meant. The humans, the exiles who had offered medical help 10 years ago, but had been mostly ignored since then. We can't ask the humans for help, shouted the Krell representative. It would shame the council. Is your pride worth more than your people's lives? Asked the junior counselor. After hours of heated debate, the council made a decision. They would send a delegation to the coordinates where human contact had been made before. This time, when the delegation arrived, they found the research outpost empty. But inside was an automated message system. When activated, it showed the face of an older human male with gray hair and a serious expression. I am Gregory, humanity's liaison, he said. If you're viewing this message, it means the Void Incursion has begun. The delegation members looked at each other in surprise. Yes, we knew this was coming, Gregory continued, as if answering their unspoken question. We detected signs of the void beings 15 years ago and have been preparing ever since. One delegation member whispered, 15 years. That's when they sent the medical data. We suspected the void beings would target council space first. Gregory explained. Your species lacks certain brain patterns that provide resistance to their influence. Humans and our new allies have these patterns naturally. The message continued, showing a new set of coordinates far beyond the galactic rim. If the Council formally requests assistance, humanity will respond. But understand this clearly. Our help comes with conditions. We will not save you only to return to exile. After the message ended, the delegation returned to the Council with the news. The debate that followed was bitter and angry. This is blackmail, shouted one council member, slamming his fist on the table. They're using our crisis to force their way back. Maybe, replied another, but would we behave any differently in their position? As they argued, urgent reports arrived. 3 more systems had fallen to the void beings. A refugee fleet from the Ashari worlds had been destroyed entirely. The crisis was growing worse by the hour. A vote was called. It wasn't unanimous. Several council species refused to bow to human demands, but the majority ruled. A formal request for human intervention was prepared. This is a dark day for the council, said the Krell representative, as he voted against the measure. To beg help from those we cast out. No, replied High Counselor Xelnav. The dark days were when we let fear guide our decisions, when we punished innovation instead of embracing it. The humans were right. We released them to become something greater. Now we must hope they are also merciful. The message was sent to the coordinates Gregory had provided. Then the council, and all their worlds could only wait, and hope, and wonder what price humanity would demand for their help. 3 days after the Council sent their desperate plea for help, the sensors on every Council world and ship detected something extraordinary. Massive energy readings appeared at the edge of the galaxy. Something big was coming. The Council's remaining warships gathered in a defensive formation, not knowing if they faced rescue or a new threat. The ship's captains watched their screens nervously as the energy readings grew stronger. Then they appeared. The human fleet materialized like ghosts, becoming solid. Their ships moved in ways that made no sense, seeming to bend space around them. They were nothing like the vessels humans had used 30 years ago. These ships glowed with strange energies and moved as if gravity didn't affect them. Leading the fleet was an enormous vessel that dwarfed the largest Council warship. On its side was the name Earth Alliance Flagship Redemption. On the bridge of the Redemption stood Admiral William Cole. His hair was gray now, but he stood straight and tall, his blue uniform crisp and his eyes sharp. He had been just a young officer when humans were forced to leave Council space. Now he was returning as the commander of the most powerful fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Status report, William ordered calmly. Commander Olivia Bennett, his second in command, checked her screens. The Void Beings have completely taken over the Pelnar system. Their forces are spreading to neighboring systems. Council defenses are failing. William nodded. There was a certain irony that the Pelnar system was their first battleground. 30 years ago, he had watched human colonists being forced to leave that very system under Council supervision. Deploy our forces according to Plan Alpha, he ordered. Priority is saving civilian populations. And send word to our allies. We'll need the special units. Across the fleet, ships began to move with perfect coordination. Smaller vessels raced ahead, creating a protective screen. Others positioned themselves near refugee ships, extending shields that the Void Beings couldn't penetrate. On the Pelnar system's main planet, the situation was desperate. Council soldiers fought bravely but uselessly against enemies they couldn't truly harm. The Void Beings moved like living shadows, passing through walls and shields, leaving madness and death in their wake. Then brilliant light flashed in the sky as human dropships descended. The doors opened, and human soldiers stepped out. But they weren't alone. With them came other beings, some tall and crystalline, others small and quick. Some of the humans and their allies glowed with strange energies. As a Void Being approached, a human soldier raised her hand. Energy flowed from her fingers, and the Void Being shrieked, the first time anyone had heard them make a sound. It retreated, its shadowy form seeming to burn where the human's energy had touched it. "They can hurt them," shouted a Council soldier in amazement. "They know how to fight these things." All across the battlefield, the tide began to turn. Human soldiers and their mysterious allies used weapons and abilities that affected the Void Beings. Some used technology that seemed almost magical. Others displayed powers that looked like something from legend. Back on the Redemption, Admiral Cole received reports of successes from all fronts. The Void Beings were retreating for the first time since they appeared. "Send in the evacuation ships," he ordered. "Get all civilians to safety." Commander Bennett looked up from her station. "Sir, the Council representatives are requesting to come aboard. They want to discuss terms." William smiled slightly. "Of course they do. Show them to the conference room." When the Council delegation entered the Redemption's conference room, they found themselves facing not just human leaders, but representatives from 5 other species they had never seen before. These were humanity's new allies from beyond the galactic rim. President Catherine Harris, the leader of the human government, stood to greet them. She was a tall woman with dark skin and a commanding presence. "Welcome to the Redemption," she said. "We have much to discuss." The Council representatives started to express their gratitude, but Catherine raised her hand. "Before we go further, let me be clear. Humanity will help defeat the Void Beings. We will save as many lives as possible. But when this is over, things will change. Humanity will not return to council space as subordinates. We return as equals, with our own territory and our own rules. She gestured to the alien representatives beside her. And we bring friends. The alliance beyond the rim has existed for millennia, avoiding council space. Now we all step forward together. The council members looked stunned. The humans they had banished had returned with greater power than anyone could have imagined.